Hello everyone and welcome to the Deep Blue Renegade podcast. My name is Molly, also known as the Deep Blue Renegade, and I'd like to welcome you guys to episode 308. Today is Sunday, March 15th, 2020, and I'm glad you could join me today. Basically, so much has changed since I've last talked to you guys. Sorry. Including the fact that my computer is filthy. So, in good news, we moved into the house. Yay! Well, are mostly moved in. There's still some moving out of the apartment that needs to occur. In bad news, there's a global pandemic. It's like, what? So, it's been a very crazy couple of weeks. What would it be? What a company instituting work from home policy, recovering from getting back to, I don't know, I guess a podcast since I got from Mexico, but getting back from Mexico, going to Dallas, packing all of the crap, driving across the country, starting to unpack all of the crap. It's going to be a long process, I'm assuming. But the good news is, sorry, I haven't logged into this computer for a while, so all my emails are coming through. But the good news is that I do have some photos to show you this week. So this room that I'm recording in now might become the yarn room. Things are a little up in the air at the moment. It currently has all of the stuff that used to be in either our closet in Dallas or in the guest bedroom. So, what would it be? And there's certainly going to be a decent amount of culling that ends up occurring if we can't squirrel away all of our crap as it stands right now. I was thinking another room was going to be the yarn room, but that might end up being the room of requirement for a while as we feel out everything that needs to be done. So there is a plan for renovations. This room could be planned for renovation. I don't know. And I will take a moment and my computer, because I'm sure, whatever. It's been a while. And I did forget to share last week. I brought it out, but it ended up staying in the bag. My Char and Sakar mug. So this is, what would it be? One that is like lace. I have no clue how he does it. It was a case where he was having a pretty in-depth discussion with another fellow ex-software engineer knitter. I don't know. Maybe they're both. I'm not sure which way they break, but it was an absolute pleasure to look at all the cool things in his booth. And so when I saw this, I knew that was what I wanted, one of the things I wanted to bring home with me, but I forgot to share. So bring it up close. See, you can see how I'm like carefully trying to sit out of the sun, but I just thought it was really cool. So there's a sort of, the indented places have like thicker glaze on it than the proud places on the mug, which is interesting. Pretty cool. So this is its inaugural coffee. I should have made coffee in it last time. Well, whatever. The only problem is that it has like a little seam where these buttons are, and so my AirPress doesn't actually sit flat on it with the lid or whatever. Not that there's a lid, but as you do. And it does appear that it has larger capacity than most of the other mugs that I have. So I could put quite a lot of coffee in it. So one of the things that I've finished that I haven't yet going to be woven in the ends, because when I finished it, it seemed to be at a somewhat awkward time, is my v-neck boxy, and it's been sort of stuffed in a sack for many days. So this is a Hohi Locatelli pattern that I knit out of Shibui Knits Silk Cloud in the blueprint colorway for the woolly bits, and the Abyss colorway for the fluffy bits. So, I still need whatever. It needs a wash and a block, but I'm sure I'll be wearing this on the podcast as time goes on. Probably not with a t-shirt, but the fluffy goodness is complete. So, I ended up doing fairly long ribbing on this, but you can sort of see the high-low hem. I'm assuming blocking is going to smooth out a little bit of that, but it should be perfectly compatible. Yeah, I'm hoping blocking does a little bit of smoothing there. If not, I have a lot of reknitting in front of me. It's possible that there's maybe like a better way to do the short rows that ends up resulting in smoother edge. As you do. I hadn't thought too deeply on the matter when I was doing it. Basically, you would every row stop going further, whereas I ended up going past where I had last turned. And you can make it pretty invisible wrap and turn when you have like 2 stitches in between, but that doesn't seem to work out when you have basically 1. So who knows? We'll see. I'll block it and see how everything comes out, but hopefully it is good. It's definitely going to keep me, sorry, it's like slightly off kilter here, but very tight sleeves, big positive ease. It's coming out to like before my elbows. And I'm glad to see the end of it. I've been working on this since Labor Day. So, the Ides of March it is. So, that is done. So, I will be sharing that with you guys on finished objects. Honestly, I don't even think I have my work in progress with me. Oopsies. Oh, I'll have to make a cut, as you do. So, the other thing that ended up getting finished were the grandpa socks, which also probably need an end or 2 woven in, but I did want to show on the podcast after they are complete. You know, there's at least 1 good size end here. These have also been crumpled in my bag for quite some time. So this is a pattern I ended up basically making up. It is a 2x2 broken rib with heel flap, pretty deep. You know, I probably might have been able to get away with more. And then size 12 men's foot. So this will be sent off in the mail soon to like figure out the appropriate amount of sunshine. It pulls it out a little bit, but you can sort of see the subtle variation here in the sunshine, which you couldn't see with maybe it's darker. Yeah, you can't see. So this is probably it's a little bit darker than when it's showing up in the bright sun, because I am hiding from the sun a little bit here. But overall, I thought this didn't end up pooling very spectacularly like the other one, but this was much more harmonious colors. So for the pair of socks for my grandpa, the intention was to finish before I left Mexico, but that did not turn out to be the case. And I have probably, I don't know, somewhere between a walnut and a tangerine of yarn remaining. And then it seems like I have more yarn left over than, I'm not feeling, somewhere in my bag is probably the leftovers from the other, pair of socks I made earlier. But 2 FOs is very exciting. I had a decent amount of time in the car, so that ended up, I think it was the case where I ended up finishing the socks on a plane, or I ended up finishing the socks on the plane going to Dallas, and then finished the sweater on the road heading back to San Francisco. And then I ended up starting the next project, which I will have to go and fetch. So, cut time. Okie dokie. Stuff retrieved. It means I get to show you a little bit of everything, so no big deal. At the moment I only have one project on the needles, which is the Maritz knits that I'm making. So Maritz is a Stephanie van der Linden pattern that's inspired by MC Escher and his tessellations, which is pretty cool. And I am currently knitting this inside out on the size 0, or the size 00 Chagou Cirques that I ended up picking up at Stitches West. And I'm actually in the process of working on the thumb gusset as I proceed down the cuff. Now, I like knitting color work on tiny cirques, but one thing that you have to be cautious about is making sure that your floats are long enough. So knitting it inside out enables you to have your floats go on the outer diameter instead of the inner diameter, and that results in a stretchier fabric. But this isn't super stretchy, it's pretty solid. And then the other thing that I end up doing is that whenever I do a color change, I just naturally spread the stitches out so that when I make that next float, that's going to be the amount of stretch it has. And I haven't been able to get this properly tried on, the Dear Sweet Lovable one, but this has been the only thing he has asked for and continually asked for, whatever, probably for like 2 or 3 years now. It's the only thing he wants. So, how did I make this work? So the pattern calls for 1s and I'm knitting it on 00s. The pattern calls for fingering weight. I'm knitting this on light fingering weight yarn. Could I have gone maybe a smaller needle size? Maybe. It seems like this is a fairly reasonable cadence. So what I ended up doing was, there was a brief time where I contemplated doing the Baltic braid, but really I need to look up one that looks nice, because the one in the pattern I don't think looks particularly good. And then got my 2 inches of 2x2 ribbing in, and then I launched into the pattern. I did 1 repeat of the chart and then tried to get it to try them on. That didn't go super, but it did make it fairly clear that that was about the right length. But his hands are larger than mine, so as you do. So if I shimmy this past where my arm goes out, then maybe we can see a little bit better what's going on. So now that it's past my thumb, it fits a little bit better. It could not navigate the thumb of the Dear Sweet Lovable one earlier. So this is what we've got going on so far. So they're going to be really cool. This is 2 colors of fiber optic cashmere. So this is a merino cashmere nylon blend, I think. Or it's silk, I don't know. That's nice. it's super, super warm on my wrist right now. And then the lizards are just really cool looking. So I'm trying to like feed out enough yarn so that we could like bring this in. So you can, there we go. So you can see the black and blue lizards forming. So the blue is Kentucky blue and the black is Morticia. And so far so good. What I opted to do for the thumb gusset, because I definitely do need a thumb gusset for this pattern, is I'm just doing a 1x1 here. So that ends up making things pretty sturdy. It's going to take a while for me to get enough stitches that actually do have a proper thumb. And I just did it at the beginning of row for this guy. And it will be fairly reversible depending on what I end up doing. I'll have to reference the original pattern I've been using for adding fingers to things that are mitts. His original pair of mitts is actually a modification of Cookie A pattern. So what I ended up doing there was I had turned all of the yarn overs into cables, so it was like super inspired by. As you do. But this one shouldn't be too crazy at this point. So it wasn't necessarily the perfect knitting for the trip because once it got dark then I couldn't really knit anymore. But it has been pretty decent so far. It's possible that as this gets used a little bit more, it's going to end up pilling somewhat because cashmere. But like my merino cashmere nylon mitts have held up really, really nicely, and I've had those for a good long while, probably 6 years at this point. So I can definitely see how these will be fine. They are super striking. I'm sort of pondering over if there is like a hat that I can end up making, because I also have a ball of red as well. And so combining the leftovers of this project with the red yarn to make something cool. I don't know, could be interesting. So far, so good. I'm probably going to have way more of the black anyways because I ended up going with the blue cuffs, which I think looks pretty nice. So we shall see. Once I am done doing the thumb increases, then I am going to do 2x2 ribbing for all of the fingers, it's looking like. So, and I'm not sure how much further past I'll end up going. So I could just keep repeating the chart. I think there maybe was a brief time where I had pondered maybe doing this provisionally, but I just cast on. Like, try not to overthink it too much, but it does require some thought. So, probably past the halfway point on those, whatever, on the first knit, so not too crazy. It's not even like up in my Ravelry projects yet. I haven't had a lot of time for that. Because it's been a full out sprint for quite some time. So, the other thing that has been happening has been spinning. So, I didn't get a ton done, but I did manage to get a little bit further on my wild onion bat project. I probably need to maybe do a little bit of reinforcing and also searching for all of the little balls. Because, yeah, there's just a little bit of chaos going on over here. So would it be on my buzzer spindle, continuing on nicely. Maybe not as much work as I had hoped for, but it is part of my spin the bin, so at least I was making a little bit of progress on that. What ended up getting more progress was now my wheel is currently in its original box because I needed to move it over here somehow, though it took way longer than I expected in order to orient the wheel correctly in the box, but oh well. But I did manage to get further or all of this done since the last time. So I have finished a bobbin of purple, and then I have 2 bobbins of blue for this next skein. So perhaps not as much as I was hoping for, but that's what I get, so I'm just gonna have to deal. But I ended up leaving my reel in the apartment for a couple of days, and then decided today that I should probably retrieve it. So retrieve it I did. I still have a little bit of stash over there right now. Hopefully that isn't too crazy. What would it be? It'd be the case where what I ended up prioritizing today was actually moving the pantry of the apartment over here, because there wasn't like a ton of pantry items. I've been doing so much eating out, but at some point that's going to have to come to an end. Would it be? But it's definitely going to be a decent amount of time hanging out here. So hopefully that doesn't result in distractions, because there's so many things to unpack and to find homes for. I do not know. But I can definitely see situations in which, like, watching a webinar and spinning would be fantastic. So we shall see how things turn out. Yeah, there's probably going to end up needing to be, or I'm assuming there's going to be some chaos associated with finishing the move, because one of those things that's not done yet is the 180 gallon fish tank. So I'm not sure. Nobody knows what's going to happen. There may be some measuring walls to figure out if there are better locations for some of our possessions. Well, we'll figure it out eventually. But things are looking good for being able to record next week. I'm guessing next week is going to be fish tank move. So I'm not sure if it's going to be the 21st or the 22nd, but that then leaves the 28th and the 29th to figure out what else is going on. Whatever. That's a mystery sometimes. But whatever. I think our intention is to be out of the apartment by the end of the month, so hopefully that isn't too crazy. I am stuck at home for quite some time. Basically, company policy states that 2 weeks after flying, I need to stay away from work. So, technically speaking, that means that I'm going to be working from home until the 30th of March, unless something happens, and it would be the case where I would need to get permission to go into work anyways, so not sure. We'll see what happens. But what would it be? I think whatever, in times like these, If you're not laughing, you're crying. And luckily we have puppies. So, not too bad. No big deal. So, not that I want to make light of the situation, but it's better than being overly serious about it as well. So, with that, I hope you guys have a lovely week, and I look forward to talking to you guys soon. So, take care, guys. Bye-bye.